Good afternoon, everyone. Jessica Del Vecchio, the City of Boca Raton's Office of Economic Development, and I am joined today by Kenneth Baboon. Kenneth is the managing partner of BGI Capital. They are a direct lender in the commercial real estate market who recently located here in Boca Raton through COVID, which we'll get into. But Kenneth, if you take a moment to please introduce yourself and let us know a little bit about BGI Capital.
Of course, Kenneth Baboon. I am the managing partner of BGI Financial, BGI Capital, sorry. We are a direct lender based out of Miami with offices in New York, Miami, and Boca Raton now. Excited to be there with you guys. A lot of things happening with you. Our main focus is commercial real estate, anywhere from office, multifamily, ground-up construction and development. We're here to support growth in different communities, mostly primary markets. Boca Raton is a very hot spot right now to be in and to support.
Yeah, so speaking of growth in Boca Raton, why don't we talk about what I've always been hearing about lately, and I guess it's not as lately as now, but I hear it more frequently, is the Boca boom. Obviously, we'll go into why you selected Boca Raton, but I imagine the boom that everyone talks about, the Boca boom, over the last 5 years has something to do with your selection of our city. Can you describe what the Boca boom is?
Of course, you've had an amazing growth and development the past couple of years. Anywhere from town center to the executive airport to the regional medical center, you have had a lot of growth. Obviously, East Boca Raton has been always booming, but West Boca Raton as well. Mm-hmm. You are a city that welcomes economic growth and development. You are friendly to live in, and definitely you get a higher quality of life than other major cities. So that makes it very attractive. Not to mention that your beaches and the city is beautiful.
Right. I think that's kind of what separates us, at least through our county and even the county south of us, because we do have we call them assets, but we have the airport, the hospital, the colleges. We really do. Everyone along the coast has the beach. What separates us is the mall. The high taxes come out of that mall, which helps the services of the city, keeps it safe, keeps it clean. It takes money and a good team to do all that. So you relocated here, well, not relocated, but expanded into Boca, and you did that through COVID. So how was that a challenge? Were you ready to pull the trigger, or how did that look? Because some people are scaling back now, and while others we're hearing are jumping in with both feet and committing to new leases and new rents.
Well, for us, scaling back wasn't an option. COVID, post-COVID, will still be there. Development will be there.
Right. Okay.
Boca was our focus. It did delay because we couldn't do anything for 2-3 months. It did delay the opening. The opening was scheduled for beginning of April, and we changed it to beginning of June. It is a step back. That doesn't mean we're not active. We were not active through that period. We just couldn't get the office physically up and running. But we have been active throughout COVID in the area.
So I know we talked about what we're seeing. We've done a number of these calls now. Every week we're doing one just to kind of get the word out, what's going on in Boca. We have heard about a couple of things. A lot of Northeasterners, California, Connecticut, we all market the same areas, we being our office, economic developments at the county level, the agents, the real estate agents, the new developments that are in town. So we're all hitting the same markets, which is awesome. But you're seeing something a little different from the Canadian perspective. Can you tell us what you're seeing in our region as a whole with the Canadian influx of that sector coming into the area?
Oddly enough, Canada has seen a shift a little bit. They like Broward. They're seeing a shift going up to the Boca area. They're the #1 international immigrant coming, according to the Realtor Association, coming to the area. And before it was just a second home, moving there, but now they're moving there and they're adding to the economic activity. They're investing, they're doing businesses. They're here to stay. It's cold out there. I don't blame them.
Yeah, I don't blame them either. We go to a number of places around, and we're seeing a lot more. A lot of our friends are from Canada, and like you said, they go from having a second home here to just moving here full time once their kids are, old enough to be on their own. So we're seeing that on a personal level. Interesting though, that they're leaving Canada and coming here. What do you think why is that? Is that just for the lifestyle? Is the dollar? I don't know the currency. I used to know currency exchanges. I don't know that anymore. Exchange rates and all that.
It's definitely not the currency exchange.
Uh huh.
The Canadian dollar, it's don't know exactly where it is right now, but it's like 30% under the US dollar last
On the
time I
dollar.
checked.
Okay. Mhm.
But they've always invested in the US as a harder currency. The tendency in the past decade has been that to invest here, and now they're actually making the jump and the move to be here, to stay here.
Mhm.
Um, they like the, as I said, the Broward, and now shifting towards the Boca area,
Mhm.
because quality of life. The dollar goes further than if you went to
Right.
Miami,
Mhm.
and Miami is a cultural shock to many of the people who come from the Northeast who are not Latin.
Mhm.
So the
Uh-huh.
the nicest place I believe right now with the expansion is Boca Raton,
Mhm.
and they're buying left and right. They're buying bigger houses than they could for the dollar in New Orleans, and they're, as I said, fueling the economy.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing to see them grab a community and be part of it.
Yeah, dive right into it. I think it's pretty awesome, and I think our city's pretty welcoming. We're I think we're 100,000 people ballpark. So I don't know if you consider that small or large, but I know whenever we get analytical reports done, they always consider us small under 100,000. So we're a relatively small city, but certainly we're growing in size and in capita and in financials. Of course, our economy is growing because of all the new construction and all of that that's going on. You do commercial lending or commercial real estate lending. Can you get into some of the deals that you're seeing, or one deal in particular that kind of emulates what you do on a day-to-day business?
No, day to day we do. Okay, so we do what's called value added plays mostly. Let's say multi-families that need to be remodeled, stabilized, and eventually be turned around on a loan. What we're seeing in Boca, we're doing a couple of spectrum financing, and we're looking at bigger deals for development. Whether they want to build a multi-family, and they're in the point that they need the bridge to start construction, and we get into construction loan, we do the whole cycle around from acquiring the property, financing the development, and turning them out.
Okay. So you mentioned spec homes. I remember back in the day that was pretty common. It was something that, people in their 20s and 30s were doing before the implosion of the mortgage industry.
Hmm.
So I read recently there was a spec home in Palm Beach, I mean, on the island, I mean, a multi-million dollar deal that sold. I mean, I just found it kind, and then I bet about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had someone on who was representing a someone who was doing spec homes, three multi-million dollar spec homes in East Boca, like on the intercoastal. They built one, and then they had two lots left if you wanted to make it your own, or otherwise they would build a spec home there. I guess it's a trend that I think we've seen before. It's kind of cool to see it come back again. But is it as risky as I think it is? Because I'm very cautious. So how do those deals get done nowadays? Is that why you have this industry? Because I don't know if you can now go to a conventional bank and get a loan for a spec home. Maybe you can. I don't know. I haven't been out there long enough. I've been out of the finance game for a while, but um, you mentioned spec homes too, so it's kind of we're hearing this more and more. Is this a trend that you're seeing, not just in Boca, but maybe nationwide? Why is this coming back?
It is a trend in South Florida, and when
Uh-huh.
you're mentioning a multi-million dollar home, it's not such a big investment for somebody who comes from New York and is used to paying
True.
$34,000
True.
a foot. Over here, a
Triple
spec
tax.
home can
Yeah.
range from $400 to $800 a foot. Obviously, if you're on the water, have a marina, you can go north of that.
Yeah.
But $3 to $4 million property here gets you a lot
It
versus New
does.
York. And the term spec home, I think, got a little bit, after the last crisis, got a little bit damaged.
Hmm.
These are beautiful homes. This is
Oh,
something.
absolutely.
It's
I
changed.
mean,
It's not the cookie cutter. It's very targeted.
no.
There's no big developers doing like 20, 30, 50 spec homes. They
Right.
they have very well targeted the areas that they have, and they go very carefully when it comes to building. And that's a market that has no institutional finance in the sector.
Right.
We come in, we bridge that gap, we finish the houses, and once it's sold, we actually get them also the end loan. So it's a market that we're very bullish in.
But you're right, Kenneth, because you made a very good point, I think, because it used to be, 12, 15, 20 spec homes. And now it's very calculated. It's in one part of town, in one lot, and then they go, like you said, slow and steady. And I don't know what the price was, the one in Palm Beach. I can certainly look it up, but it was like over $10 million. And the
Yep.
ones that we were talking about a few weeks ago in Boca were, I think they started at 4 or 5. And you're right, they want for nothing. They've got everything in the houses. They have these 3D where you go through the house, and it's, I mean, it's amazing. They have everything in these houses. But that may be what has changed since 2008 era, is that people are being more selective on where they're putting it, what they're putting in the home. And again, these were all of the three that I'm talking about are on the water. So that probably helps the saleability, I would imagine, on a property like that.
If you come from New York, you're not paying state taxes. At the point that you're not paying state taxes, you can afford more mortgage, if you will. You can get a bigger house because it's countering your income from
Right.
not having the state taxes. You're in Florida, you won't bother. I mean, those are the type
Yeah.
of homes that
Yeah.
we're heavily financing. But on that price point, like you said, on the island, there was sales. You're right, 10 million plus. Another example would be in Miami. There's one building in specific that Northeasterns like, which is one museum, 1,000 museum, and that one sold, if I'm not mistaken, $60 million this year already. There
Oh my
were
gosh.
$50 million properties, $18 million properties. So
Unbelievable.
it doesn't scare us to say spec home that we're going to find for $4 or $5 million. Doesn't scare us. There's a big market coming down here for that. And if they were not ready to move, COVID pushed them to move.
Right. That's the other thing. So everything you read nowadays, whether it be CNBC, any of the news outlets on a national level that talk finance and business, Business Insider, all those guys, they talk about the rental market just being tightened basically overnight. It's just been so drawn in because there's such demand that there's not much on the market, and now they're seeing on the sales side. So do you see that in your lending perspective? Does that affect you at all from a lending side of business?
Not
Where
really.
people are buying homes? No.
It doesn't affect me. At the end of the day, we are very targeted towards the property. It doesn't really affect us.
Okay. So what opportunities do you see in, obviously, selected Boca Raton? I mean, obviously, it gives you access. You have the office in Miami, which is about 7 years in, I believe. And the New York office
Correct.
is about 2 or 3 years in. And then Boca Raton is about a month or two in. What
We're here to stay.
opportunities? Yeah. What are the opportunities that you see here in Boca that either A, we're aware of as the community, anyone who's watching from the community is aware of, or B, some we're not aware of? Again, just staying within the city, of not going out west, but staying in the city limits of Boca Raton. Are there any projects on your radar that you're assisting with, or anything that you would like to getting involved with?
Well, you'll see. Unfortunately, right now we're going to have the forbearance scandal going off. So we're going to start seeing a lot of properties changing hands. That's going to be.
We're already seeing it. I mean, we saw Parker Broken Sound had a building just sell, through COVID. I don't know, $15 million, a commercial building. So you are seeing things change hands. It's always an opportunity, a buy side on an economic downturn.
Correct. But I think those opportunities also come with people who were reckless on their leveraging, and on banks also over leveraging properties. People who were conservative on their approach, on their income, are going to be there to stay. Banks, where we see the opportunities that we're an alternative lender, banks are backing away from a certain type of loans or certain type of properties. We will not see a hotel being built anytime soon. New condo development will not come anytime soon. But at the same time, we have huge hedge funds from New York, from the Northeast, or international, waiting for this opportunity. So it's going to be a brief change of hands. I don't think it's going to affect the economy, at least in the commercial space, as such. But yeah, there are opportunities coming due to COVID.
Quick thing, you just mentioned that there won't be any hotel development going on for the short term,
Correct.
give or take. I know I've worked at the Office of Economic Development for 5 years, and I'd say over the last 2.5 years, up until 6 months ago, I would get a call basically once a quarter, a serious call. People flying into town, they want to see certain parcels of land for hotels. They wouldn't not always disclose what flag they would hang, but they would tell us basically what they're looking for: 200 rooms, high end or boutique or national brand. So we've been doing that over the last, more so in the 2.5 years leading up to now, looking to invest in Boca. So is it just they can no longer get access to that funding, which is what I mean. Obviously, we know people aren't traveling and they're not going to be staying in hotels. But how long does it take a hotel to develop? 3 years? I have no idea, but ballpark. Hopefully, we're all out of it by then, please. But
It takes 2 years. It takes 2 years to
okay.
build a hotel, give or take. Once you're ready to build, but
So why
from
no more hotel development? You just think the financing isn't there?
financing is there. Banks are very scared of hotels right now.
Okay.
Occupancies are low. Uh,
Yeah.
many banks are gonna end up keeping hotels because
Oh,
they underwrote the hotel with a 15% vacancy. When right now you need to stress test a hotel with a 40% vacancy in case you get a COVID situation, an apocalyptic situation. This is a black
yeah.
swan. We're not expecting to get a black swan. Not special since the 2008 black swan. So
Right. Right.
it's a very extraordinary situation, but it will stabilize. They
It
love
will.
Florida. They love the beaches. You guys in Boca have done an amazing job of attracting tourists
Hmm.
in the past couple of years. You made it friendly. It's no longer the family just no. It's friendly for
Right.
tourists. It's
Yeah.
fun. The
It is. It's
developers
a
are
fun
fun.
place. You would definitely change in the perspective, not we, but like the community at large, people coming down. And I think social media helps, not what we put out, but when people go back home and they have pictures and they're out and they're in there riding their beach bikes with a drink holder in it. It just is not the perception that outsiders think of Boca, but it's how we spend our weekends. It's not, it is, we can be a flip flop city. There's nothing wrong with that. We can still get dressed at night. So, interesting about the hotel, though. I hadn't thought about that. That's a very good thing to think about as far as opportunities down the road. I think sometimes, personally, I think sometimes banks, especially, we've seen it before. They overcorrect. Oh wow, we were too loosey goosey, and now we have to tighten the belt. So we will stabilize and we'll see changes. But I think that was a good thing based on the ratio of the hotels, how they decide whether or not to lend. Couple things you mentioned that I had a couple questions I wanted to ask you. We talked about some of the opportunities in Boca. Why, out of 39 municipalities, did you select our city? Was it because of the assets that are here? Was it proximity to anything? I know you're right off 95, your location, but I mean, there are a lot of offices off 95. What made you guys choose Boca Raton?
Well, like you touch upon the Boca Boom, we want to be very active in your community, but the accessibility as well that we can target markets from Broward all the way up to Jupiter.
Yeah.
So it's a proximity, and it's the only for us developed enough economic center that makes sense that we can service that community and then expand around it.
Mhm. Okay. Because Jupiter is about I don't know, less than an hour away, and they're seeing some growth up there too. So that's a pretty cool. They got some good things going on up there. So I had a question here that came in. Let me see what it says here. We talked about the Boca Boom, but how has COVID changed the commercial real estate lending process? Can you touch on some of the properties you see a demand for? We basically just talked about that, but maybe you could dive a little deeper. I can reread it if you would like.
No, it's okay. I think that I know what they want to know. The lending process has changed. Parameters are tighter. Loan to values that used to go to 75 and 90% are not there. If you have a property that's stabilized, you'll probably be hitting 70%. If you need a property that you need to stabilize, you will probably not get more than 55 to 60% on your loan to value. So
Mhm.
definitely banks are putting higher underwriting standards. Uh,
Okay.
time will also be a factor. 30 to 45 day loan will now take 60 to 75 days if everything's ready to go. Um, so yeah, with every world crisis affects time and affects value. So
Right. Ebb
that's
and
a
flow.
great thing. Yeah.
Quick question. So we're seeing a lot of small businesses that will not just in Boca, but nationwide that have had to close down. There will be more vacancy rates. What if someone, because if I assume it's I'm oversimplifying this, but if I am a business owner, I have to pay my rent, so the landlord could pay his mortgage, and so on and so on, and then that's how the banks get involved and either, like you said, take it over in foreclosure type of thing, or you guys come in. But how will that affect these higher vacancy rates on either the retail side or the restaurant side? Are they flooding the markets on either on a local level, or you tell us what you're seeing?
We are seeing a lot more supply on the retail side and also on the office side right now, but that's a domino effect coming from COVID. People are not being able to withstand this crisis, so there's a vast amount of retail available. Many landlords who uh, did not get any relief cannot pass that
Right.
relief to their tenants. So it's up to the point of how long can the tenant stand and the landlord stand before their bank calls them in.
Is
Uh,
that someone you can help? Like, is that an opportunity for you or for that business owner? Not on the business owner side, but on a landlord. Let's say they have, I don't know, they have a big plaza and people are closing down, and now it's hurting their business and their model. And it's not so easy to get new tenants and all of that in a time like this. Is that where you guys would come in on a retail side on a project like that?
we could come in the retail side as long as the landlord is not over leveraged.
Got it.
We
Of
need to
course.
we need to take a look at the property value post COVID.
Hmm.
Then from there, if he's not over leveraged, banks will probably not refinance him right now. So if we take a look at the value, if there's enough equity from him in, we can come in, help him verify, and help him withstand this crisis. We usually do interest-only loans or prepaid interest loans that they can write this out for 1 or 2 years
Okay.
while they stabilize again and while we can get them and a traditional financing behind it.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Call us. I mean, we'll give you at least our personal opinion of how this would work.
Okay. Yeah, I want to know for myself because, we work with a lot of businesses. We worked corporate for 5 years, and now that we're going through COVID, our office is working with a lot of small businesses. And some are obviously really struggling, and we're doing what we can from as far as funding perspective. But after that funding, they're still going to need a little help getting back because maybe people aren't so comfortable going to a restaurant just yet, even though they've received funding and they can hire half their staff and they can do all this. If people aren't coming through the door or sitting outside or doing curbside or takeout, it's very difficult to pay the bills. So I understand. So I'm just I always like to know of possible opportunities out there for, someone that may have a need and, someone sells widgets, someone needs widgets. I like to put the people in the right room. So this is very educational for me because I don't know other than what I know about your business from, the bio and such. It's very interesting that your business plan or platform is a very unique, not a one size fits all, not put your name on an application. It is customized to the needs of obviously you have to go into the due diligence and the leveraging and all of the ratios. But at the end of the day, if you feel the customer can or the client can make the payments back, you would extend the loan. So I think it's a good opportunity for some people. We have a lot of big projects coming to Boca. We have the Mandarin Oriental coming to our downtown. We have a lot of new construction coming downtown, high-end, luxury, which I think is also changing the perception of our city. We're aging younger, things of that nature. Anything that you want to say pertaining to either Boca Raton or projects in Boca or anything about BGI, you tell me. Would love to know more about how we can help you through this, this Facebook Live.
We're here to help. Actually, we're here to help in that market. No project is too small or too big for us to come in and help. Some of the fields are struggling. They might not know of different programs that we can help. We can help them go through. This is on the development side, not on the consumer side. We're here to stay and we're here to help you guys. I mean, don't be afraid of running a scenario by us so that we can give you your reality and your options. We do not stick to one box. We're a direct lender, so we basically put our money where the mouth is, and we'll give you the reality as hard as it can be, or there might be something that you haven't thought of we can help you with.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Look, I want to first say, first of all, thank you for being on here with us today. But most importantly, you had a choice when you opened your third office, and you chose Boca Raton. And for us, we love to hear that because you're in Manhattan. It's a big deal. It's high rent district. I mean, it's really kind of cool. And then of course, Miami is your HQ. But we'll maybe move your HQ up to Boca soon. we'll entice you to come up here with us.
I would love to. You guys have worked
Okay.
with me. I
Okay.
would love
Ken, is there anything else that Kelly, I don't know if we have no comments other than the one that I read to you. So I guess for now we will just sign off. And Kenneth, is there anything else you need to say or want to say before we go?
Well, thank you so much for having me, and if we can do anything to help you, we're here. And we're here to stay with you guys.
Yes.
You have been great with us, so we want to repay the favor.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
will go offline now, but we'll stay on, Kenneth. Thank you.
Okay.